Well, Calvin Duncan is doubling down on his legal fight against a new law that eliminated his job as newly elected clerk of criminal court. In the amended petition filed in federal court Friday, Duncan alleges Governor Jeff Landry and Attorney General Liz Murrill intentionally violated his constitutional right to protection from discrimination. The legislature passed the law combining criminal and civil clerk positions in New Orleans after Duncan was elected, preventing him from taking office. Duncan was convicted of murder as a teen and served nearly 30 years of a life sentence at Angola before being exonerated. His suit seeks damages and a trial by jury in federal